Welcome to Calls. This is the 2022 Mayakoba Data Dive Show. We have quite a bit to get into as the initial research didn't look at as much data as we normally do last night. So check out the description. The links to my social media are there. It's where I post my betting cards each week. And you'll notice that there is a little bit extra there at the bottom. If you are a subscriber, then shoot me an email at the address that you see in the description. Confirm your YouTube, handle or channel name, and that will put you on the distribution list for the upcoming bonus content that I mentioned last night in the initial research show. So if you haven't checked that out, please go check the show from last night, the Mayakoba initial research show. Quite a lot of exciting stuff coming in the near future. So yeah, and then the live chat's open. Let me know what you're thinking about this week at the Mayakoba as we dig into the data. Any early leans, any bets that you've made, what you're wanting to see tonight. What do you think is going to play well here? What do you think is not going to play well here? So join me in the interaction. Want to hear from you all. And then lastly, as always, all statistics provided by FantasyNational.com. Amazing resource. I say it every week. Go check it out. With that, let's dig into the data for the 2022 Mayakoba. And we're going to switch over here, transition. And this is the homepage for Fantasy National. Give me 1 second while I get everything set up here. Make sure chat is open. So this is kind of my default that I go to whenever I'm starting to look through the data for whatever tournament. I filter on the last 6 months. We don't want to grab too much historical data if we can help it. The last 36 rounds gives us a decent enough sample size to not overreact to maybe a good tournament or a good round. Sort of by strokes gained total, number one strokes gained total player in the past 36 rounds is Seamus Power. He's been on quite a roll since his win at the Barbasol. The Wyndham has made the cut, wasn't fantastic. He topped 30 essentially, the Northern Trust. Didn't make it to the BMW, was close. Missed the cut in the first event of the year. His first event of the year, the Sanderson Farms, the second overall in the PGA Tour season. And in the past two events, he's played very well. Played well in Las Vegas at the Shriners, and then last week at the Bermuda in absolutely atrocious conditions. So Seamus Power has been playing very, very well lately. You can see here, even before the Barbasol, he had quite a bit of build-up to his win. So a little bit of no surprise there. Maybe a bit of a shock to be number one, but really to be at the top of the list shouldn't be a shock. So Seamus Power, Mito Pereira, Patrick Rogers coming off a fantastic Bermuda tournament. Kind of faltered late Saturday and early Sunday, or he would have had his name right in the mix with Taylor Pendrith and Patrick Reed, Lucas Herbert, all that. Justin Thomas and Harold Varner III are your top five. And I want to highlight Harold Varner III. It's just somebody that kind of threw me off, seeing him at number 5. But you look here, his last 5 tournaments, he's been quite stellar. His off the tee game has been lackluster, a little bit under field average. He is absolutely red hot with the irons. I mean, he is dialed in with the irons. His around the green game is fantastic right now, and his putting's very good right now. You take away the CJ Cup, which he just did not putt well at all there in Vegas. You come back, you've got gaining 6 at the Sanderson Farms. You got gaining 5 at the Fortinet. Both of those, I believe the Fortinet was on Bermuda. I know the Sanderson Farms was on Bermuda. He lost 1 at the BMW and still finished 12th. That's how good his irons were. Gains 5 at the Northern Trust. Gains 1 at the Wyndham. His putter is cooperating right now. He is a dangerous force to be reckoned with. I mean, look at these finishes. The Wyndham was, fairly mediocre, but 11th at the Northern Trust, 12th at the BMW, and then starts the new PGA Tour season, 16th, 11th, 32nd. He's been playing some fantastic golf. Unfortunately, he is not flying under the radar to the sports books, at least to DraftKings sportsbook. Last I saw, he was at 40-1. I was kind of hoping for a 60. I would have fired the trigger on that. Pardon me as I crack open my Gatorade here. Would have definitely fired away at the 60. 40 is a bit too low for me. But certainly you can't argue how well he is playing. And I think this course is going to suit pretty well for him. So there's the look at the top 5 in strokes, just on a pure strokes gained total with no filters or such. Rounding out the top 5 is Sergio, Ian Poulter, Aaron Wise, Adam Schenk, and Taylor Gooch. One of the things that we kind of highlighted at the end of the show last night was that with these being paspalum greens, we don't have a lot of data for those courses. And we don't have any putting statistics for those courses. So paspalum has not been played in the last 6 months at all. I had to go back to the last 2 years to get a lot, some meaningful data. And even then, we don't have anything other than a strokes gained total view. This was one of the last things we looked at last night, but we'll go over it again fairly quickly here. You see the most, the most number of rounds is 20 on paspalum. So I'm actually going to limit this to the last 24 here. And Carlos Ortiz is number 1 in strokes gained paspalum. Probably should be no surprise. He is, a Mexican-born player, international, and that's where paspalum is most common when the PGA Tour steps outside the United States continental borders. So the OHL was the former sponsor for the Mayakoba. So this is the same event. He has played this event extremely well. Of course, we don't have the approach, off the tee, putting, but he has played this event very, very, very well. So probably no surprise there that he is the best on strokes gained total for paspalum. In fact, Adam Long is another one. He has played the Corrales Putancana very well, minus this one round, but this is another tournament he plays extremely well. Hovland is your defending champion here at the Mayakoba. Horschel, Brendan Todd. Horschel, maybe a bit of a surprise, but you think about it, he is a Georgia native, maybe an Alabama native. I can't remember. I know he went to school at the University of Florida. Southern courses, while they're not paspalum, they're certainly, the climate, the temperate and all that is akin to a lot of these courses. Grillo, Argentinian, makes a lot of sense. Abraham Answer, Mexican-born player, makes a lot of sense. Aaron Wise is somebody who generally does well on, these coastal courses, grainy. I don't really think he has a preference of long versus short courses. He just generally plays, things like the Sony. He was second last year here at the Mayakoba. Let's see. He didn't play the Sony this past year, but Honda, that's in Florida, played that extremely well. PGA, this is a very talented player. as it is. So it doesn't surprise me. It surprises me a tad that he's this high. Doesn't surprise me that he generally plays well on these types of courses. Dylan Fratelli, International. So there is a quick look at the strokes gained total paspalum. And again, that's really all we can look at. I mean, we can dig into a lot of, maybe the par 3, par 4s, but we're really going to dig into that here in a little bit. So I don't want to go too much into the rabbit hole just yet. Something else that we took a quick look at last night was the short course metric here. And on a strokes gained total, let's reset this to the last 6 months. Yeah, I guess we'll keep it at 24 because there's only 18 rounds here. Strokes gained total on short courses. Lucas Herbert, the winner last week at the Bermuda. Patrick Reed, runner-up. Tringali, Noren, and Taylor Pendrith. Followed by Tony Finau, Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas, Russell Henley, and Keegan Bradley are your top 10. I'm actually going to expand this out to the last 12 months and make it 36 rounds so we get a little bit more data, because you saw most of those players had, roughly in between 8 and 10, 12 rounds. So let's add quite a few rounds here. 36 on these short courses goes all the way back to last year's RSM. You have the Mayakoba in here as well, and then Sony and so forth from this earlier this calendar year. So when you add 6 more months of data, essentially going back to this time last year, strokes gained total. Tony Finau now rises to number 1, and he's only got 14 rounds here. So he played the Mayakoba last year pretty darn well. Very, very good at the Amex. I believe he was second here. No, Siwoo Kim won. He was solo 4th. Okay, yeah, he played extremely well. He wasn't a failure on the greens, but you can imagine if he had anything like these numbers or anywhere close, he probably would have been challenging Siwoo for that tournament title. But even so, played the Amex very well. Just had a disastrous first day at the Travelers, and then the Northern Trust. He did Tony Finau things. Hit his irons pretty well. He was getting off the tee. He was amazing with his irons. Made some putts, missed some putts. Tony Finau things. So Tony Finau, number 1 on short course. Tringali's number 2. Answer, Russell Henley, Billy Horschel are your top 5 on short course for the past year. Last 36 rounds. Then the rest of the top 10, Charlie Hoffman, John Huh, Chris Kirk, Lucas Herbert, and Joaquin Nieman. Let's look at John Huh. That's a name that we haven't seen quite often, and you can kind of see why. It has not been great lately. He's always been a pretty good chipper around the green player. His putting is actually very good for him right now, and it's still negative. He has been a disaster with his irons. He's been just not good off the tee. There's a lot of red and there's a lot of miscuts here for John Huh. So seeing him this high on these short courses is a bit surprising. However, he did top 20 last year at the Mayakoba. Let's take a quick look and see how his historical Mayakoba has been. So 2018, missed the cut. 25th, 28th. So nothing spectacular. But when he does make the cut, it's a top 30. So, a little mixed bag there. You come down the list here. Tom Hoagie, there's Victor Hovland again, your defending champ. Vijayas, Charles Howell, Justin Thomas lurks right outside the top 10. Take a look at Joaquin Nieman. has not been playing the best lately, and that is all due to one club. His putter has been very bad. Now, certainly, he's not hitting his irons as well as he has in the past. He's generally about field average around the green. He's actually been chipping the ball pretty well. He is losing a little bit more off the tee, but he's still playing okay. 28th at Zozo in Japan, 45th at the CJ Cup out of I think 70. So not great there. And I mean, you see the putting was woeful. He made the cut to a middling type finish at the Shriners. He was next to last at the Tour Championship. I mean, that's really bad. So it's been a mixed bag for Joaquin Nieman. This could be a good spot for Joaquin Nieman to at least gain some momentum. I'm not going to say he's going to threaten to win this tournament, although he's a good enough player that I could see it. I think this is a chance for him to, like I said, gather some momentum heading into the new year. The Sony, where he played very well this past year, the Amex and such. There are 2 more tournaments that count, at least for FedEx Cup points. You've got the Vivint Houston Open next week, and then the RSM the week after. Now, there are a couple of other events. The QBE Shootout. There's one other I can't, but those don't count for FedEx Cup points. So I think this is probably a good spot. Maybe, depending on if he plays in Houston or at the RSM, this might be one of the last chances or last spots Joaquin Nieman can, quote, get right before the new calendar year sets in. Let's see if there's anything else that I kind of wanted to take a look at. So there's no tournament fact sheet since this is an international tournament. The architect is Greg Norman here at El Camaleon. We are in basically Cancun. I saw this earlier. Some Del Carmen. I don't want to say it and butcher it. We are just south of Cancun. So let me bring up a whole different set of windows here, and we're going to really, really dig into this. I've got 3 separate tabs here: 2019, 2020, which I will get on the same page, and 21. So the last 3 years of this Mayakoba. And because we don't have the regular strokes gained views, we only have strokes gained total and tee to green, so we don't have the individual, off the tee approach around the green putting. We kind of have to dig into the weeds a little bit here to gather some meaningful stuff. So in 2019, it looks like the fairways were fairly important. The first thing that jumps off, distance doesn't matter here. It just doesn't. This is a forced layup type course. You have a lot of holes where it will tempt you to hit driver, but there are other times where you just have to hit an iron for position or just because of the layout of the hole. So looked like fairways was going to be important, but you kind of sort by fairways gained, and the top 3, sure, you got a top 30, 21st, another top 30, a 41st. So when you think about it, when you actually sort by who gained the most fairways, it wasn't a strong correlation. Now, it certainly means something. You've got a lot of these higher finishers too, but it wasn't the strongest. Good drives gained, a little better. 21st, then you got 3 really high finishes of 16th, 3rd. It was okay. What I found was, and it wasn't this year, but you'll see the greens in regulation are actually kind of the key here. And again, this is 2019, so this was 3 years ago. But you had, 21st, 6th, 3rd, 26th, 15th. So it doesn't. This would seem like it is the least of the 3 fairways, good drives, and greens. And in 2019, it kind of was. But when we go to 2020, fairways, again, I mean, there's zero correlation here. 11th, 33rd, 80th, 48th, 80th, 41st, nothing there. Good drives, a little bit better. 33rd to the 1st to 2nd, 6th, 11th. Do you still have some fairly mediocre finishes, and you got some miscuts down here as well? Greens, a little bit stronger. 33rd, 14th, 1st, 6th. Getting a little bit stronger. We'll reset that. Then we come to 2021. Fairways. Decent. 8th, 5th. You got this 40th from Brandon Grace. 8th, 17th. Good drives. Decent. Pretty darn good. 12th, 23rd. 8th, 1st. 12th. So getting better. Greens. 1st, 12th, 20th, 12th, 5th, 3rd, 20th. 2 more top 25s. Charlie Hoffman was up here, and then you go 2nd, 3rd. This was pretty strong last year. It was pretty strong last year. So I really debated between good drives and greens, and I settled on greens for the mixed condition model that I'll show at the end of the show. And I'm not entirely sold on the greens yet, but to me it spoke the loudest. And again, if you're watching, I want you to jump in chat. What are you seeing? What are you thinking? How much do you know of El Chameleon? Is greens just kind of a subset of good drives, or finding the fairway? So jump in chat. Let me know what you're thinking. But anyway, so those are this view 2019, 2020, 2021 for the driving the fairways and the greens. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't see a lot for birdies and bogeys. I'll bring up 2019 just to kind of show. This is going to be on the easier side. I am going to let me bring up the historic conditions. So you had one round last year. The first round was pretty difficult. The hitting the fairways was difficult. We didn't have the wind temperature or the wind gauge, but I imagine it got maybe moderate or so. But the rest of these are pretty. I mean, this is easy to easy average, if that makes sense. 2 rounds were easy in 2021 last year. 3 of the 4 were easy in 2020. 3 of the 4 were easy in 2019. So this is definitely the outlier. The winning scores here have been anywhere from 20, 22, 23. It's an easy course. Maybe not as easy as some of the things we've seen, like the CJ Cup, where it was 26 that Rory won with, or Sanderson Farms. I believe Burns was at 24, I think. But it's certainly on the easier side. So if there's anything, I'm going to use this birdies gained. Birdies are better gained on easy courses. But it wasn't to the fact, that, clearly the bogeys were the thing, or avoiding the doubles was the thing, because you're going to have a high finish regardless if you're doing that. So I really only like using birdies. Birdies are better gained, on say easy courses, or bogeys on, avoiding your bogeys on hard and things like that. So let's move to the real, kind of the meat and potatoes of what we can really extract here from the numbers that we have. And I'm going to see if I can pull this off here. I'm going to try and kind of separate out this breakdown here. So we see that strokes gained par 3 is kind of it's clearly the least, which last week at Bermuda was the highest strokes gained by hole by par. This week it's not, it seems like it's not very important that par 5s are, but again, don't be fooled by your y-axis here, or at least pay attention to it. This is less than 2/10. This is more than 1/10. So it's still pretty darn close. It's pretty darn close. Having said that, par 5s are supposed to be the most important here at El Camaleon. Well, we're going to find out. So 2019. Here's a look at the par 3s. And when you sort, it doesn't jump off the page quickly that par 3s were important in 2019. Your leader was a very middling finish. You had a 6th, a 10th, a 48th, second. So, I would classify that as strictly meh on the correlation. The short par 3, the one that's 117 yards, again, still no strong. I would say this is no correlation at all. You've got guys that played it well and missed the cut. Then the 2 par 3s that are somewhat middle length, a little bit stronger, 48th, 21st, 55th, but otherwise you got some pretty strong finishes up here. And how about the one long one? Well, clearly not. Clearly not. Hey, Darnell, how you doing, pal? How'd you do this week at the Bermuda? Because it was not good for me. It was not good for me. Clearly, we don't have any correlation here on the long par 3, at least for 2019. Come to 2020. Par 3s are getting... was it bad? Was it bad for you too? What killed me, I didn't have any Taylor Pendrith. I just missed. On Taylor Pendrith. I'll own that. But I was pretty happy with Patrick Reed. I was pretty happy with that with that call. But 2020, looking at this par 3, now we're starting to get some pretty darn strong correlation here. 14th, 1st, 5th, 6th, and you got a slightly middling finish here in Piercy. 2nd, 8th, 11th, 14th, 2nd. That's a pretty strong correlation from 2020 on the par 3s. Taylor with other pieces folded. That was kind of the way that tournament went. I was high on Lebiota. He bit the bullet. I was really, really high on Bo Hogue. And he started off great Thursday in the wind, and then just free fell. It was ugh. Let's was it in the short par 3 here in 2020? Well, no. Not a lot of high finishes here on the guys that played the short par 3 well. Was it the middle length? Not really. So then it would have to have been the long one, right? Well, better. But basically, it's the par 3s, at least in 2020. In 2020. It was a pretty strong correlation here. So let's check 2021. Well, par 3s. You got Russell Henley here that missed the cut, but some pretty high finishes here. I'd say that's a fairly middling correlation. Short par 3, absolutely not. So we can rule out this. None of the 3 years we're looking at was the short par 3 a factor. Not the 2 others, or the 2 short, or medium length. Well, Russell Henley missed the cut, played that the best. A little bit. Was it the long one? No. So what this led me to believe was that 2020 might have been a bit of an outlier on how important the par 3s were. I did include it, but I certainly tempered the percentage that I that I put stock into for this mixed data model that I made for tonight. So let's look at the par fours. And while these are loading, Darnell, I hope you caught last night's show, or if you haven't, you really need to, because I had been teasing the major announcement. I made it last night on the initial research show, so make sure you go check that out. Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. So let's look at the par fours here. And we'll see that as much as it says that the par fives should be the most important, let's we're going to put that to bed here. First, fifth, second, sixth, 10th, 16th, 3rd, 6th, 2 more 16ths in the top, 12 in 2019. We saw this in 2020's par 3, so maybe this is an outlier. How about the short par 4s? A little strong. First, fifth, you got 2 pretty middlings, second, 10th. So, meh. How about the, slightly longer? Pretty strong. You got a middling, top 20, 10, 6, first, 16th. 450 to 500, 6th, and then, so you're 6th, middling, 16, 3, second. So these two were kind of a factor, but I mean, really, just, you can't argue this. First, fifth, second, 6th, top 20, top 10, fairly middling, 3rd, top 20. Yeah, that's a lot of correlation there. All right, so maybe 2019 is an outlier. 2020. Even stronger. 2nd, 5th, 6th, 2nd, 1st, 8th, top 22. That's a lot. So in two years, the par 4s were astronomically important here at El Camaleon. Was it the short par 4s? Well, a little stronger now in 2020. 400 to 450, a little bit less. 450 to 500. Oh, here we go. You're 2 seconds. Taylor Gooch just, didn't. He played these links, the par 4s well, but not, apparently not others. Clearly, 5th, 6th, 33rd, 8th. So 450 to 500 and the par 4s in 2020. 2021, more of the same. 1st, 3rd, 3rd, 8th. 3 more top 15s, 5th, 8th, 5th. 2 more top 15s, a top 20. Wow. That is a straight indicator if I've ever seen it. Yeah. Clearly a par 4, so this is so very important here at Mayakoba. Short par 4s, a little bit. You take away these, 30 seconds, you got a 5th, 8th, 12th, 12th, 2, and 8. Pretty strong. 400 to 450, really strong at the top. It kind of loses it, but very strong at the top. 450 to 500, there it is. 3, 1, 8, 3, 2 more top 20s, 30th, 12th, 17th, 5th. What I found today doing my research, a lot of strokes gained par 4, a lot of 450 to 500. More so the par 4, just outright par 4. But definitely saw some 450 to 500. Hovland, he is the defending champion. But what's interesting, Darnell, even though he is the defending champion, I want you to take a look. Let me maximize all of these. Tournament history. Victor Hovland. We'll highlight him here. I just had him. There he is. Wins. Missed the cut. So, what does that tell you? Hoagie, yes, that not to ruin DFS Tactics show, but Tom Hoagie is somebody that I think could sneak up on some people this week. Anyway, let's take a look here. He wins, and he doesn't do all that great the other 2 years. I don't know if that is because his around the green game gave him trouble, because again, since this is international, we are in Cancun, we don't have the individual strokes gained, so say off the tee approach, putting and such. It's going to be really hard to tell what did Victor Hovland in those 2 years. But you can't argue. I mean, he played extremely well last year. He won it. Missed the cut. Hoagie, he tied for third last year, but missed the cut, and then, very middling finish. I actually had this sorted strokes gained total, so there you go. Somebody else I'm really high on this week's Pat Perez. But, I mean, Hovland is down, in the top maybe 25 or so, but all of that, I mean, literally all of that is in that win last year. So, let's bring back the leaderboard efficiencies here. We'll just take a look at 2020. What did he do on the par fours, since they were so very important? Well, there you go. He played the range, or the lengths of the par fours I'm focusing on, but nothing else. I mean, he was really bad from those. He was pretty bad from the short ones. And we saw how much that was crucial throughout the 3 years. 2019 on the par fours. What did he do? He was a little better, but still just mediocre. And this is where you have to make your hay on this course, is on these par fours. We just saw how important they are. So then let's finish off this really digging into the weeds data by going into the par fives, because we don't have any proximity, we don't have any putting statistics. All we can do is kind of gather what we can from these par 4 and par 5 efficiencies. Par 5s, this was supposed to be the strongest indicator of either the par 3s, par 4s, or par 5s. Well, let's see. Par 5s, 2019, yeah, fairly strong. You got to come down to here, maybe Russell Henley, James Hahn, before you get, some middling performances. You do have 2 missed cuts in Homa and ZJ, but, fairly strong. 500 to 550, not really. 41st, 48th, missed cut. So, was it the 550 to 600? No, not really. So, a decent correlation on the par 5s, but no individual length. Let's look at 2020. Again, there's Victor Hovland. So he played the par 5s extremely well in 2020, but the par 4s, he was an abject failure. Not too strong. 550 to or 500 to 550. No, not strong at all. I mean, you got missed cuts all the way up to here. Very poor performances here. 550 to 6. Still not really. This is where Hovland made his hay. He just didn't do anything else apparently that week. So, not a lot of strong correlation there. And then 2021, a lot stronger here. You take out Cage, Lee's, 59th, you got 2. You got the second, top 20, winner, 5th, 8th, 12th. Yeah, so 2019 and 2021, the par 5s were fairly important. Not so much this length, so we can kind of cross off this length as it wasn't important any of the 3 years. The 550 to 600 has had a little bit of a correlation, but not as strong as the 450 to 500 par 4s. So that is what I have found, really getting into as much data as I could for the for El Camaleon, since since there's just a limited amount of data we can get. So with that, let me show you the mixed condition model that I had today, and I'm still kind of waffling back and forth on a couple of things. So these are pass palm greens, and we don't have any putting statistics on pass palm, so I just had to use a strokes gained total on pass palm courses. I put it at 5% since that's literally all we have is strokes gained total. I did put some extra emphasis on short course. Strokes gained total, who plays the best on short courses. You know me. If you've watched for any time, I'm a strokes gained approach preferred player, iron player. It's going to always be my highest unless I'm given a very strong reason for it not to be. 5% around the green. Strokes gained just total putting, 5%, because we don't have any pass palm statistics. Nah. I mean, again, I wish I could give you a better answer, but I mean, the truth is, So, if you get some good info from somewhere, use it. I'd appreciate if you relate to me too, but, go out and get as much information as you can. Because I don't have much in the way of putting here at the Mayakoba. I mentioned how I was going to look at birdies are better on easy courses. I'll put that at 10%. Greens, 10%. This is one of them that I'm kind of waffling about. It was a fairly strong indicator in 2019. Lost a little in 2020, and it wasn't really an indicator last year. So I'm kind of waffling either 5% or just taking it out. Par 3s we saw, pretty important. So I put that at 10. We saw how important the par 4s were. I mean, extremely important. I put that at 15. If anything, I'm going to up the strokes gained approach and up this a lot. In fact, looking at this now, I've got par 5s at 10%. This probably honestly should be 5%. And then I put 5% at the individual length of par 4s that led to, that was the strongest indicator in the par 4s. So when I ran this mixed condition model, Seamus Power ended up being number 1, Aaron Wise 2nd, Justin Thomas 3rd, Patrick Rogers 4th, and Victor Hovland 5th, followed by Johnny Vegas, Taylor Gooch, Abraham Ancer, Shane Lowry, and Mito Pereira. So already, I'm telling you that while this will probably give you a good indication of where kind of my rankings are going to fall, they're definitely going to change. I'm definitely going to take this down to 5% throughout the week. I'm going to be messing with this greens and regulation. Maybe I take it out. Maybe I put 5% in. I feel pretty good about the 10% on the par 3s, and the birdies are better. If I find some putting stuff, I might take it out or add it. Approach, par 4s, we saw how important those were. So that was the kind of the initial thought as I was doing my research today on the data for the data dive. So with that, let's come back to the kind of the base view here. So we saw how easy. That's something else I could probably stand to add. Strokes gained on easy courses. Let's limit this down to the last 24 and see what we get. So on easy courses, and I don't believe I have any other filters. I do not. On easy courses, Taylor Pendrith, Seamus Power, Johnny Vegas, Aaron Wise, and Adam Hadwin are your top 5, followed by Adam Schenk, Alex Noren, Hayden Buckley, Brian Stewart, and Rory Sabatini. Well, there's a name for you. But we're seeing a few names here pop consistently. Aaron Wise is popping. Seamus Power, Taylor Pendrith, To a lesser extent, Alex Noren. He's always going to be a short game player, and this is a short course. Taylor Moore, Corn Ferry Tour graduate. There's Patrick Rogers, Taylor Gooch, Mito, Harold Varner. So a lot to like there. Let's take a look at par 4, since we saw how important these were. Let's take a look at par 4. We'll go last 36 rounds, just get a full encapsulating view. Make sure I don't have any filters. I don't. Strokes gained, par 4. Seamus Power, number 1. Justin Thomas, Patrick Rogers, Shane Lowry, Aaron Wise are your top 5. Followed by Lebiota, Kirk, Reevy, Hovland, and Snedeker. So again, some more overlap. Seamus Power, Aaron Wise, Hovland's sneaking up on a few things. Rogers has popped a couple of times. Pereira, he's 17th, but I mean he's still high up there. Harold Varner. So a lot of stuff there. 450 to 500. These par 4s: Justin Thomas, Brendan Todd, Adam Schenk, Victor Hovland, Hudson Swafford, Joaquin Nieman, Will Zalatoris, Seamus Power, Cooch, and Ryan Moore. Interesting stuff here. So, let's see. We'll take a look at some putting. I don't know how much it's going to really factor in, but hey, strokes gained putting. Last 36 rounds, again, no filters. Alex Noren, Adam Hadwin, Troy Merritt, Adam Long, who's played this event very, very well, and Adam Schenk are the top 5. Abraham Manser, Justin Rose, Hank Lebiota, Stewart, and Christian Bezadenhout round out the top 10. I was kind of disappointed in Christian Bezadenhout last week. I was all over Seabez, even though he was chalky. I was all over Seabez. I thought that was going to be a great tournament for him. I mean, certainly he made the cut. He was up there high on Friday. Kind of faltered. Who really let me down was Hank Lebiota. He let me down big time because I wasn't necessarily all in, but I liked me some Hank Lebiota, and he didn't like me last week. Let's see, what else can we cover tonight? I suppose we can come back in here in the mixed condition model. Let's unlock some of these values. And again, back to Hank. See, normally Hank Lebiota really is high on my statistical model just because he generally does things well that I prefer. His approaches are generally pretty good. He plays the par 4s well. He's a pretty darn good putter. But for whatever reason, he just did not play well last week, and he's kind of, off the tee has never been his strong suit. So I would have thought, on a course that Bermuda, that I didn't think off the tee was going to matter. It looks like off the tee is not really going to matter this week. Although, on Bermuda greens, there was a warning sign there. I don't know. I just, looking back at it, I can see why I was high on him, and I can also see the warning signs. But generally, what I'm getting at is he hasn't been very good lately at all. Just got the Wyndham, Northern Trust, Fortinet, Shriners, Bermuda. This is like that toxic ex you can't get rid of. Can't quit. But clearly the signs are there that he's just not playing well as of now. But generally, Hank Lebiota pops on these models of mine, and he's all the way down at 25th, where he's normally top 15, top 10. So that's a pretty good indicator that this might not be a Hank Lebiota week. Let's look at this condition, mixed condition model. I feel good about 5% around the green. I don't know what it's going to be like here. I like the 10% Birdies are better on easy. Let's move this to 5%. Let's do that. I still like this at 10%. I still like this at 5%. Approach was 15. Yeah, let's put putting at 5 just because I don't know what all is gonna. I don't know how that's gonna factor. This needs to be 5, if not taken out entirely. Let's take out the greens. I'm gonna put that at 0. So now you've got 20 on approach, 20 on the par 4s, 15 on the par 3s. I don't know if that's too high or not. Yeah, let's put that at 10. And then we get to move something up 5%. Oh, I know what I need to do. So let's put this at 20. Put that at 20. That's 15, 35, 40, 45, 55, 65, 85. Yeah, so I got 5% here. I'm going to close this out. We're going to add, we're going to come to strokes gain. We're going to go strokes gain total on easy courses. And we're going to put this at 5%. Yeah, let's do let's keep it at the last 6 months. Strokes gain total on easy courses. Strokes gain total, last 24 easy courses. Let's add that. Now we'll come back to the mixed condition model. We'll put that at 5%. And these others should stay at 5%. 5. Put that at 10. You at 10. Greens at 0. You are at 10. You are at 10. For some reason, I've got a 15 and a 20 here. Oh, the par 5s. That was dumb. 20 and 20. Let's see what this does. And again, this is probably not going to be my final mixed condition model, but as I'm talking through it with you all, seeing where some of the errors in my judgment were earlier today, or just get a different view. I want to take a guess here. We see Abraham Answer was 5th. My guess now is going to be Aaron Wise is going to be number 1 in my rankings. Pure guess. I'll give it a few seconds. If you're in chat, jump in. Who do you think is going to be number 1 in this mixed condition model, considering you saw what was beforehand? Whether or not it should be, whether or not this player should be number 1, what do you think, or who do you think is going to be number 1 in this statistical model? I think it's going to be Aaron Wise. I'll give it a couple more seconds. Let's see. My rank. Bam. Justin Thomas. So the top 3 stayed the same. Just changed the order. It was Power, Wise, and Thomas. Now it's Thomas, Power, and Wise. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, Justin Thomas is premier player in the world. Victor Hovland 4th, Abraham Answer 5th. Shane Lowry keeps moving up the rankings board. Taylor Gooch, Johnny Vegas, Patrick Rogers, and Harold Varner. So I know you came in a bit late, Darnell. I'm really high on Harold Varner. I highlighted him earlier. I don't think people realize how good he's been, and we'll come back to Harold Varner here. Historically, he's not been a good putter. But look where it's at right now. I mean, he's rolling the rock. Now, certainly the CJ Cup was pretty bad, but I mean, the Sanderson Farms gained 6. Fortinet gained 5. Northern Trust gained 5. And look at these finishes. Top 15, top 15, top 15, top 15. Flirting with top 10s. And then the CJ Cup, granted it's an invitational style field, he still finished in the top half and putted like Sergio with his eyes closed. But look, I mean, the putting's there, and the volatile putting is there. So, I mean, if he has a bad putting week, it's going to happen. But he's got the high volatility putting that you like to see, and these irons, good Lord. I mean, he's been very, very impressive with his irons lately. The off the tee is, not where you want it. But again, I don't know how much off the tee is going to matter on this course. I just don't. It's hard to say that it mattered at Bermuda because we don't get that data. I'm willing to kind of, I don't want to say it was a non-factor, but the conditions at Bermuda were just, they were brutal. So how much really did off the tee matter? But the irons are there for Harold Varner. He's historically been a pretty decent chipper. He's very hot right there. The putter's cooperating. I like Harold Varner quite a bit this week. I really do. We saw, or at least last I saw, it was about an hour or so before I came live onto the show. He was sitting at 40-1, which really upset me. Because if he was about 60-1, you could probably twist my arm and make it 50. I'd have pulled the trigger. 40 is just a bit low for me. Now, me talking all of this up, talking him up, I'm going to see that 40 tomorrow, and I'm going to be like, it's going to be an itch that I can't not scratch. But I was really hoping for a 50 to a 60 or even better. I just wanted to highlight Harold Varner again. He's been playing very, very well. Patrick Rodgers, this is a lot of just last week, I think, because he's never been a good iron player. His putter is hot at the moment. He generally plays better on when the conditions get difficult. This is going to be rather easy. He's got the spike performances, is what I'll say. Top 5 at the Bermuda. It's, 6th at the Fortinet, but he missed the cut at the Sanderson Farms, missed the cut at the Wyndham. So, he's just, when the putter spikes, he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. It's just not the kind of, you like the volatility of the putter, but I don't like the irons. I want some consistent iron play. I can handle spiky putting if you're a consistent iron player. If he gained 0.6 on approach consistently a tournament and had the spiking of the putter, that'd be a kind of player that I would like. But I just I know he's like 9th or 10th in my data model. I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about Patrick Rodgers this week. I just don't. It's a gut feeling. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll lose to it. Somebody I'm really high on is Pat Perez. He generally plays West Coast events well, and West Coast or deep South, say Florida, Texas, and stuff. Those are the kind of continental events, continental climates and temperates and such that will equate to something like this. And Pat Perez has always done well. And shoot, we saw this earlier. He's the number 1 strokes gained total player here at the Mayakoba, at least in the past 5 years. He won it way back in 2017. He's got a couple of other top 10s. Pat Perez is somebody I really like this week. Finau's always popular. Don't know how much I can use him. But yeah, I like Pat Perez quite a bit. I like Varner quite a bit. I like Gooch just in general. Taylor Gooch doesn't get enough credit for how good of an iron player he really is. And he's not just an iron player. He's second in around the green, second in these par 5s. He's a solid player. So yeah. But anyway, that's going to pretty much wrap up the Data Dive show. Make sure you tune in Wednesday for the DFS Tactics. And if you haven't checked out the initial research show, please do so. Again, there's a lot of exciting stuff there that was given out last night. I'm actually working on the standalone video around that announcement. So a lot of great things are coming on the coming to the channel, and it'll be here, very, very soon. So again, thanks for the support for all of the bets that you made so far at the Mayakoba, for any of the bets that you're thinking about, any of the lineups you're starting to consider. And until I see you Wednesday night, may all your bets be profitable.